Well, welcome everyone. So excited to have everyone here today to learn about how to register for competitions. If you're here today, that means that you want to do it the right way to make sure that you're properly registered before the deadline. So we're going to kind of walk you through this process. It can be a little daunting, but at first, but once you kind of see it as we walk through it, it should get a lot easier. I'm Robin Mintier. I'm the Director of Membership. So I'm going to be kind of just kicking off this webinar, and I'll turn it over to Peyton Yancey, who is our Senior Membership Associate, which I'm sure you guys have all emailed with if you've not actually even talked to her on the phone. And then we have a couple members of our staff that are also supporting us on the questions and answers. So if you have questions as we're going through, be sure and put it in the Q&A area, and we'll stop periodically to check on those. And then we have our tech guy on hand in case anything goes wrong. So we're crossing our fingers. We'll get kicked off here. So Peyton, you want to start?
Yeah, of course. And if you have any questions at any point during this call, feel free to go ahead and put it in the Q&A section. We do have someone monitoring that. So if you need some help with that, we're happy to answer those questions there. Like Robin said, my name is Peyton Yancey. We'll be walking through how to register for your competitions today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will kind of get started with what we'll be doing. And I'll kind of give a brief overview. I'm sorry, I have a lot of windows open, so it's apparently taking me a second to find this one. Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be looking at where to find your guidelines, a review of the general guidelines, link to apply sections and where you can find those, and then as well as the application process for both a team and an individual application. So first things first that I've done here is I am logged in as one of our test accounts for students. You'll see here, of course, we have our active level membership. So we're all good to go on that. Next, I'm going to look on this sidebar and go down to the EdRising High School Resources section. Once you click down, you'll see student resources. If you're a teacher leader, you will see both. You'll see teacher leader resources as well as student resources. You can also access this through your section, and it'll just be in a different place on your resources section. Once we get to this page, we're going to scroll down until we get to the National Conference and Competition Resources. You can find information here about the actual conference on our website, as well as any of our latest information. Next, we're going to go here where it says we can learn more about all of our competitions and our competitive events. Once we get here, you'll see a couple different things listed at the top here. These are some of our deadlines, what they have to be in terms of being a paid and active student member. We'll see, are you ready to complete it nationals? And here's the checklist, as well as we have an overview of competition videos that the Delaware State officers created for us. Down here, we're going to see a lot of different competitions, and you're going to see them spread out by levels. You'll see first middle school competitions and contests, high school and junior varsity competitions and contests, as well as collegiate. For this one, we are going to be looking at a lesson plan competition and seeing how to apply for these. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and just click on the first one I see here to look at the guidelines and where you can find these. You should know that the first few pages of all of our guidelines are the exact same. They give you all of the information you need for all of our competitive events. You'll see here we have general rules and regulations, eligibility, contest and competition information, as well as how many students you will need for each of those. Please remember also this year we have changed our guidelines a little bit, whereas students are only allowed to compete in one competition or contest at the national level. If they qualified for one or more at the state level, they will have to select which one they want to participate in at the national level. This means they can either do a team competition, an individual competition, or a dual competition. They cannot do what they used to, which was they could do an individual and a team. Only one now. You can only select one of those competitions. Like I said, these next few pages are going to show the general competition information, and we also show the levels of competition. We also have on here what they will receive for competitions in terms of scores and awards. So if you have questions about that, you should check there.
One thing to note there has been a change in the contest. We will now be awarding ribbons by a range of scores rather than just the top score. So that's going to broaden the number of students that can receive a ribbon. The other big change is in the past, if we didn't have enough competitors in a category, we move them up to the next category. We are not doing that any longer. So even if there's only one competitor in middle school, that will be its own category.
Thank you, Robin. Again, you can keep going down, and like I said, it'll continue to be the same information on all of these guidelines. Again, dress code, electronic devices, responsibilities, and then you'll get into the checklist for your competitions. And this is for, again, all of our competitions. This is a checklist that you should follow and make sure you have on hand so you know you have completed each of the steps necessary to compete at the national level. Other than that, you're going to see the actual guidelines for the specific competition you are looking for. So you can go ahead and scroll down here to look at the contest purpose and competition guidelines. We're not going to go too far into that today, as you can review these all on your resources page. If you have questions about those, please feel free to put that in the Q&A section. We're going to go ahead and move right along to applying for that competition itself.
Before we leave this, I just want to say one thing about our national competition guidelines. They may be different than your state guidelines. So do read these through thoroughly so that you understand the differences that may be there. So many times we have people that get to the judging at the national level, and they say, well, they did this different in my state. Yes, they did. And we told you in the guidelines how these things were going to play out. So be sure your students or you as a student are prepared for nationals. You did great if you've gotten through state, but nationals could be different.
Yes, thank you, Robin. So again, like I said, we're going to go back here to this page and take a look at the competition sections. Do make sure that you are looking at the correct age group for yourself. We don't need you in a different application for middle or high school. That way we know that you're competing with your specific grade level. So
and this is the grade level you're in right now, not what grade level you will be in when you get to conference. That is always confusing to folks, that they think that they need to register as a senior, but really if they're a junior right now, that's where they need to be registered.
Yeah, considering it falls in the summer, always look to the previous semester that you were in that age grade. All right, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and click apply. It is going to take you to our application portal where you'll be filling out and registering for your specific competition. One thing to note that you should double check on every time you are doing an application, if you are having your students do it on one computer, is that the name up here reflects the student's account that you are registering for. Oftentimes we've seen sometimes teachers will accidentally somehow squeak their way through and get to application sections that they shouldn't be in. So do be careful that you are on the correct account that you are registering for the competition. It will verify it later on in this registration section, but always good to look before you fill everything out. As you can see, we have our application period. This is the same for all of our competitions and contests. So be sure you are applying for your competition before April 8th. And then we're going to go ahead and click register. You'll see here that it autofills information. This information is completely pulled from your membership profile. So make sure that any of the information that is on your account is accurate. That goes for your name, email, anything like that that you want to make sure is on that competition application. You can always request us to make any changes that you may need. We know that some students go by different names at the state level or maybe on a personal level. So if you want that to be reflected on anything that is shown at conference, whether that be our PowerPoint slides or their competition rubrics, anything like that, please have them change that to what they want it to be and what they want it to show as on all of their information. So now we're going to scroll through here and make sure all of our information is correct. We do have a section this year that's new for pronunciation of competitor names. We did used to provide a sheet for judges to fill this out. We just want to make sure that when we are giving awards, we are pronouncing the students' names correctly, as well as for the judges, so they can make sure they are pronouncing the students' names correctly. So for the sake of this, I am just going to type in the name again, as it is not a real name.
So basically there, we want the phonetic spelling of the person's name. So for instance, my last name is pronounced Mintier. So I would actually type in there MENTIER so that people would understand how to do that.
Sorry.
And I would even put a space between it so that it shows that it's Mintier is how it's pronounced.
Yeah. For this section, you want to make sure you are having your students fill out their school name. This should be the exact school name that you find in our system. You can, of course, go back to your main profile and see here what the school's name is. We want to make sure that this matches across boards, so everything is the exact same at the end of registration. So I'm going to put that there. School city. Screen put. And so, like I said, some of this information is obviously not correct in terms of our school state being Illinois. This is just us filling in this information as it should be based on your student's profile. Again, making sure that all of this information is what you want it to be and is correct. You'll see here that we're asking you to select a division, whether it's high school varsity grades 11 through 12 or high school junior varsity 9 through 10. Here we are asking for your teacher leader's first and last name as well as their email address. Teacher leaders do receive a copy usually of students' rubrics at the end of the year. So if you want to make sure they're getting those emails, you do want to make sure they have the correct email information on here.
One thing to clarify, even though you put the teacher's information here, the confirmation email will go to the student. It is not set up in any way that it can go to the teacher leader as well. So make sure your students are using an email address that they have access to and will have access to all summer. So you may need to change that if they're using a school's email address. It is often blocked, and they won't get confirmation emails from us if the school blocks it. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, we know that some places can't use their personal emails, but if you can, do think about changing that before you apply for your competitions. Here we have our uploaded written lesson plan. I'm going to go ahead and just upload a document here, but this is where students should be uploading their written lesson plans. They will need some items that are pre-scored materials to be uploaded before conference. So please keep in mind that when you're looking over the rubrics, that you understand what items are going to be required when they apply.
And note the format that it is stating to apply. It will not accept a Word document because it only allows PDFs. In the next one, it's asking for a link. It has to be either a YouTube or Venmo link. You can set it private so that it only can be visible by somebody with the link. But make sure that it is not set to private where no one can access it, because then the judges can't access it.
Yes. And so I am just real quickly grabbing a link for YouTube from a different document I have pulled up.
And while she's doing that, you should know that this platform is used by our judges to pre-score materials and to score on site. So that is why everything has to be uploaded, because they could be all over the country. We give them a login access to this platform, and they can watch the videos directly through here and read all the materials directly through this portal. So that's why it's so important that you make sure that they are visible, and that you upload the correct documents, because if the correct documents are not uploaded, the student will not get a score for those documents. So if a teacher is registering students, which we don't recommend it, we recommend each student upload all their own information. But if you, for some reason, have to upload multiple students, make sure you're uploading the correct documents. Our staff will not have time to go back and request the correct documents. You will just get a 0 score for that particular item.
Yes, and sorry, one moment. Looks like the link I had wasn't working, so I'm just gonna grab a new one real quick. All right, sorry about that, guys. So now we have the video link uploaded. You can see here that we're no longer getting that error that we were getting. So your link has been accepted. Here is going to be your certification of original work. You'll see here that all materials must be reflected of original work from the school year of 2023 to 2024. Again, it's always going to be the previous year, whether we are in the summer or not. Here you'll go ahead and check to agree that the materials you used were used during the same time frame. And then you'll say how many people did you interact with or were exposed to during your presentation. I'm just going to click 10. And then hit preview.
The reason why that question comes up on how many people we're exposed to is we're trying to gather what kind of impact we're having. And so the more people you show your presentation to when you're practicing, or if you're presenting at the state conference and you've presented, in front of a whole room full of people, that shows our impact. And so we want to make sure and collect that data as you're doing your application.
So now that you've gotten to this next page, I know you're going to see a couple of different things, which is going to be your status, 100% complete. Do not let this fool you. There is also an option to save as a draft. You are going to want to scroll back down and review all the information that you've already put in, including your downloaded information, and then click register. This will officially register you for your competition. You'll see here, it's like success, your application has been received. It lets you know failure to register for the conference by April 8th will result in removal of your competition entry. You can view application, back to your competition, or make another application. We actually need that one to be removed.
Yeah. Before you leave though, you can see there is a link to register for the conference here. It is recommended that you upload all your information for your competitions before registering for the conference. Teachers can register for the conference, all of their students at once if they want, or if they want to have their students registered for the conference individually, they can use this link. It doesn't matter which method they choose to do, just so long as all of the students that are competing are registered by that April 8th date. They don't have to be paid for, so let's make sure that everybody is clear on that. You can complete the registration for the conference, and there's an option at the end to click invoice. From that, you can download your invoice, send it over to your accounts payable department, and pay for it at a later date. We only care that they're registered for the conference and for their competitions by that April 8th deadline.
I want to say, is there any questions, Nora or Michael, in the chat that we might want to check on before we step over to registering as a team?
There are no questions currently.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get out of this. And I'm going to log out. You want to make sure, like I said, if you're doing this all on one computer, as I know sometimes you guys do at school, teachers having this pulled up, you're going to want to make sure you log out physically each time that you are doing it.
But before you do that though, you can see on this screen that when you went back to the competition, there is the application, so you know that it has been submitted. If you don't see that there, go back and double check that you hit the actual submit button. And it is telling you you have already registered for one application. You can't submit another application.
Yes, and if you lose this page and let's say you're on your home page and this is what pulls up when you log in, you just need to look down here to the side and look at applications here. And this is pulling in your last year's, so if students completed last year, you can also see what they completed in last year as well as what they registered for this year. And I'm just going to go ahead real quickly.
We're going to go back now. We showed you how to register for an individual competition. It gets a little different when you go to register for a team. So we want to be sure and show you how to register for a team. So we're going to pick a team competition, start that process. One of the things to note is for a team, we only need one submission for the entire team. We don't need each teammate putting in, because all that information is collected on one application form. So before you're ready to register your team, make sure you have all the teammates' names, ID numbers, and their email addresses. When you're looking up their names, ID numbers, and email addresses, make sure that you look at their profile and that you see a current membership on there. We have a lot of students that have been members several years, and each year they're creating a new profile instead of renewing their existing profile. So when somebody goes to look them up for a competition, they're pulling in the wrong ID number. So make sure that your students who are participating in that team go into their profile, they look, they get their ID number, they get the email address that they're using on that profile, and that their membership is showing current.
Yes, and if you see multiples, you can feel free to reach out to us so we can merge those memberships so that only one is now active on their profiles. So now I have logged into our new person that we are going to be registering for. Again, active student membership, and we are good to go. I'm going to go back down to the same place I went to the first time, which is the high school resources, student resources, and then scroll until I see the information about the national conference. Here, I'm going to scroll down until I get to the competition I'm looking for, which is researching and learning challenges. I'm going to go ahead and click apply, and you'll see here that each of these do show team for the ones that are our team competitions, as well as varsity only, individual or dual.
This application process will also work the same for the dual competitions and contests as well. Anytime you have more than one person that is participating in that competition, they're going to follow this process.
And so again, we're going to log in, and it should automatically pull from your account's profile. Okay, here we are. And you see here, we don't currently have any applications, so we are going to go ahead and start one. You're going to see here, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to have a different layout, and it's going to ask for the school name first rather than autofill the student's name. So again, just going to fill this with some information.
And this is important here on the division. You're picking the division of the highest member of the team. So if you have freshmen, sophomores, and seniors all on a team, you're going to pick the varsity level because that's the highest one for that team.
Okay, and then again, our team members, you can find this information in the guidelines as well, but again, there's a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 4. Sometimes what we will have is when 4 students will originally compete at their state level or be a part of the original team, a common question we get is 1 or 2 of our students can no longer attend the state conference, but we do have another student who would like to participate. You can do that, and you can switch them into that section. As long as 50% of the original team remains, you can add in the 2 others if the rest of that team has dropped off or is no longer able to attend at the national conference. You're gonna see here, we're gonna be looking up first member name. This should be you. This would be the first person you're looking for on your accounts. Okay, just to be sure that I have the exact spelling, I'm gonna go back over to my account. And copy over this information. We have the option here, obviously, where you can search by your first team member's name. Keep in mind that sometimes when you go to search these names, it does take a couple of seconds to load. Often what I'll do is what you just saw there is take back some of the letters if you're copying it over, because it will kind of take a little bit longer to search that. But aside from that, if you can, we highly, highly recommend using the student's ID number to search. That will put you in a position where it'll pull up the exact student you are looking for, regardless if they have multiple accounts. If they have
Can you-
multiple accounts, it'll pull up the right one you need.
Can you show them that?
The ID number, yeah. So here, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this over. And your ID numbers, like you saw on that last page, can always be found here. Whatever ID number you might be seeing on your account as a teacher or leader, that is yours for yourself only. Everyone gets their own individual number. You also do not want them using the school's ID number or anything like that. It should be the one directly attached to their account right here on their profile. So I'm going to paste that in. Give me a second. So again, same thing with this. Sometimes you have to type it in.
It's working on it. It's spinning at the end.
I don't know why it's not playing in there. We may have to take a look at that and see. But if not, like I said, we can go ahead and just continue with the name.
Yeah, just type the name JORD.
But you should be in the future be able to do that. So keep that in mind. We will get that checked out for you guys just to make sure that you are able to search by ID numbers. But if not, just be sure you are typing in the student's name exactly as they have it on their account. Sometimes students will accidentally misspell. Sometimes students will, like I said, have a different name on their profiles. So have all that information together before you start that application process, because you will need it. And if you exit out and you exit out for too long, or you go to a different tab for too long, it could kick you out of the application you've already started building upon, and you don't want to have to restart that process.
And always click their name once it comes up, so you see that it puts it down there below with the little X. That's how you know that it's been entered.
Yes. And then again, you're going to see the ID number is required, as well as my competitor's email. So this is whatever email you have used for your account. And then we are going to go to the secondary student. I'm going to go ahead and put the ID number in here.
I think you can search by email address as well.
Yes, I can try that for this one and see what
Yeah.
happens. Okay. All right, my computer's taking a minute to load. I think my computer might be frozen for a second, Robin. Sorry.
Is it not working?
Yeah, I think it's just rebooting something real quick. I don't know what it is doing. Sorry about that, guys. Robin, I may.
Can you try refreshing the page? I know that means you're gonna have to re-enter the information, but
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna try one more time and see if it works. Okay, I think I refreshed it and it didn't take me out of it, so we're gonna keep going by that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and try what Robin just suggested, which was using the email on the account. Oops. It's not gonna work that way this time,
Looks like it's just gonna work on name.
which is, we will have to take a look at that. And again, I'm just typing slowly to make sure it pulls in the name, and you're gonna see all those names until you get the spelling of the name. And there we go. Again, select it, make sure it drops down. And then we are going to put the email. And there we go. So now that you see this, you're going to keep seeing, of course, the third team member's information as well as the fourth and so on. That is because obviously you have a team, so you can do up to 4 people in this. This section is not required, as you do not need 2 more people to go in a team competition.
But if you have 4, you must fill it in, or else those other competitors will not be able to be a part of the team.
Yes, they
So
will.
all members must be included here.
Yes. All right. So again, the pronunciation field, we are asking that with team applications, you just put a comma between the names. So I'm going to spell out the way we need it, but just a comma for each of your team members.
And don't just put their names. If they are difficult ones to pronounce, be sure and put the phonetic way of pronouncing it there.
Yeah, so I could do for my name. And Robin, I feel like yours is pretty general, so.
Usually I do Rob and then the dash IN.
Yeah.
And for instance, the one that we put up there, it's pronounced Jordan, but it may not look that way. So I just put JOR-DIN.
Okay, so again, now we
And
are.
that's first names and last names, folks, because what we use this for is when we're announcing their names, if they win, we want to make sure that we're pronouncing them correctly. And this is to help with that pronunciation.
Okay. Now I'm going to upload my position paper, which again has to be a PDF in this case. And then again, make sure that all your submitted materials reflect your original work from 2023 to 2024. And then you agree that you have whatever submission you are submitting, that is for those year terms. Again, how many people did you interact with or were exposed to during your presentation? Like Robin said, this is so we can get an idea of the reach that you and we have had in your communities. You'll see right here, it says on the next page, be sure to enter all the team members again. We need this so that we can use this section when we are pulling your applications to verify names and ID numbers the second time.
The second part is what checks for membership. So while we had this on the application, the system has not checked them yet. This is where it goes. And I know this is a little cumbersome that you have to enter it twice, but this takes a lot of work off of the staff to be able to go in and already know that these folks have the current memberships.
So the first student obviously is usually checked on an individual one that you automatically have to be a paid member to get into that. But when adding team members, since it can't verify that through the original page on the previous page, we ask that you do it here.
So we want all the students, not just the ones submitting.
And this is again the same section that will require you to type slowly, wait, and make sure you select the correct account. And like you can see here, you actually are showing the duplicate because I know this is the correct account through what I originally had pulled up on my account. I can click this one, but you will want to verify the one you are selecting.
And this is where entering ID numbers is important, and I think it does actually work here. So let's try that with Dustin.
Yes.
I think the first one may only be a name lookup, but this one here I think does work for
I accidentally did the same one. Apologies. So yes, it doesn't like Robin said, it doesn't really work on the first page, but it is going to work on this page when you use their ID numbers. Type back a little bit. There you go. So like I said, sometimes it can be a little finicky. I know that is not ideal when registering students, but you should be able to find their name by like this. And if you just need to take a letter back, take a number back, usually it'll reload and find that account that it's looking for.
You got Jordan on there twice.
I'm gonna type this one out and just. I don't think my computer is wanting to copy over the ID number correctly.
For Dustin.
Yeah.
Oh, test guy. Okay.
Well, and I will say, we can't have an example. This will not actually let him go through with it because he is not the secondary person on this account. So, let's see. Actually, this one might be the right one. Oh yeah, you're right. I put the names of Dustin and them in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have his ID number right there.
So we scroll down and I just uploaded a PDF that I have saved in my files. This should be your position paper. Click register and verify all your information.
And done.
And here we are. So again, and I don't know if anyone new has joined since, I can't see the number of participants. So I'll just quickly say again what we said before in the last one. After you've submitted, do know that if you're a teacher, this will not go to you, even if it is on your account, even if your email was listed in the teacher section, it will only go to the students' emails. So when you are looking at this page, we do also recommend maybe taking a screenshot or keeping this in some sense, so you have it for yourself, but you also can go to their portals here when they log out and log back in and go to your application section. We also talked about how this is the first step in registering for the conference. Secondarily, you'll want to register for your conference itself instead of just your competition. Here we give you a direct link where you can do this. Now, if your teacher is going to register all of you, or you as a teacher are going to register all of your students, you can do so at the time of registration by adding on multiple registrations to the process of it. However, if you want them to register themselves, here's a direct link so they can do competition, conference registration, and be done. You can view your application, go back to your competitions, and then see your application and when you applied. This is a good way to verify when you did this, as well as the deadline being met.
So this is the page I would screenshot if you're a teacher leader and you're not going to be getting those confirmations and you're afraid your students may not get your confirmation. Have them go back to this page and do a complete screenshot showing their name in the right-hand corner, the name of the competition that they're applying to, and the date and the time that their competition was submitted. So that is your proof that they did what they needed to do. And you won't have to worry about, oh, they didn't get their email confirmation because the school blocked it. Just have them go ahead and screenshot this page and save that as their reference.
Yes, and again, you can review your application as well and make sure everything's correct. Now, if you need to edit this, you can also do this here. Now, if you have someone who needs to switch out for a team member, like I said, you can do that as long as 50% of the original team is there. If you uploaded the wrong document or you need to upload a revised document before the deadline has come and gone, You can edit those things up until that deadline if you need to, but do be sure that when you do edit this, you make sure to submit it again and make sure it's fully saved before you exit out of it.
The other option that was there that she didn't point out is a withdrawal option. Occasionally, we know that students, for one reason or another, can't attend the conference and they need to withdraw. They can log back into the system themselves and withdraw that application.
So again, you can see your application here, as well as your past applications from the previous years. And withdraw the application if need be, as well as edit. I explained this a little bit earlier, but this is the main page that if you just log back in without following through that link by going through the pdkintl.slate.com/home when you log in, you can go to your application section down here and look at all of them like you were just seeing. So if you don't know where to go from here, you can go here. Just want to see. Robin, was there anything else we kind of wanted to touch on in terms of this process? I'm trying to think of anything else that might be necessary.
I think that's pretty much it. Only paid members can access this portal. So if you're a teacher leader, you're not going to be able to access this. You're going to have to log in as the student member if you need to register it for them.
Yes.
We prefer to have the student do that application process themselves. This is building skills that they're going to need later on as they move into college. There's going to be a lot of applications they're going to have to fill out on their own. So we encourage you to be there as an aid for them in case they get stuck, but we do ask that you encourage them to fill out those applications themselves.
Yes, and another really great point to this, going off of what Robin said, and I'm just going to quickly show you guys that we've had this come up a few times in terms of when students are paying for memberships or creating new membership accounts. Every time you do this, you should make sure that the account name, when you are getting ready to go to that portal, again, is on this top corner. We have seen a few times where teachers accidentally added active level, student level memberships to them, thinking they were creating a new account. So be sure that your name is showing in the top hand corner as well as on the main page before you go to that application and you start applying. Because if you're doing the previous student and then the next student and it's saved somehow to your computer where the login is stuck on that login, we always recommend use a new tab or make sure if your browser's not working, use Google Chrome. So if you can use a new tab or you can use a new search engine every time you do it, I know that's cumbersome, but it will help mitigate any of these situations that could come up where you accidentally have the wrong student's information pulled in at the time.
And it can't say it enough, log out between each student. The system will time out too if you're away from it for a long enough period of time. We know that it just loses its mind. So definitely make sure that you have all your documents ready, that you have all the ID numbers ready and the names and email addresses so you can do it rather quickly. And then when a student is done, have them log out and have the next student log into their portal and then go through the application process separately.